everyone, and welcome to another edition of Little Talks with PopCultX. Today, I am joined by Juan Vaca and Joseph Let me try that again. I'm joined by Joseph Magallanes. Is that correct?
Magallanes.
Okay.
But it's all good. No worries.
It's all good.
My last name is complex.
Well, my last name is Juarez. With Juarez without the Z. And my whole life, I've always had trouble with it, even myself. So I grew up in a mixed ethnic household that didn't really celebrate any of my ethnicities. So I'm really starting to explore my Latino part of me. And that's what really drew me when I saw LatinX in gaming. I was like, wow, what is that? Because I played video games my whole entire life, and I've never really explored what it meant to be a Latino, both on screen as a character or in the game development mode. So before we get into that portion of it, why don't we go ahead and start with you, Juan, and give us a little bit of your background and how your background in gaming and what that led you to LatinX in gaming.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having us on board. I've been playing video games all my life. So my background goes back to when I got my first Atari. Nice. And you've been playing, ever since then. And, I feel like I grew up with video games. And so by the time it was, time to really think about what I wanted to do with my life, I wanted to invest in gaming somehow. So I took a conventional route and went to school for gaming at USC. And then I interned at Marvel for a bit. And then after that, I was able to leverage my experience there into an assistant producer job at Telltale, where I was there for about 5 years. And I went through a production pipeline to a creative assistant pipeline to eventually being a lead narrative designer. And I've basically been doing that for the past few years. And eventually I'm now at Netflix on an interactive team. So if you see like the branching videos, movies,
those are really cool.
Yeah. So I'm the design lead on a lot of those for what we do out here. So, my experience in gaming has gone from playing to making to, helping others, really make that.
Very cool. Very cool. And how about you, Joseph?
My experience is pretty unconventional. And for a lot of people it is, but my background isn't typically in video gaming per se, but I did start playing video games since I was little. My parents were working very hard. They're both Mexican. They're working 2 or 3 jobs at one time. I was about maybe 4 or 5. My dad bought us an Atari 2600.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah,
same. Atari. Humble beginnings. It obviously is not the type of gaming that you would play today, of course, but it was everything to me. I was hooked from that point on. I've been playing video games for practically my whole life from that point, and continue to, collect video games and consoles and whatnot. But my background has been primarily in customer service and payroll HR, still in payroll and HR, but I'm hoping to pivot full time. So I'm looking for an opportunity to work for a marketing company that would let me help them out with their marketing efforts. But that's, another conversation for another day, right? How I found LatinX in gaming, I was invited to be a part of the community, and I joined their Discord server. I started to interact and network and engage with the community on a daily basis, and I loved it. I loved the inclusiveness, the positivity atmosphere that LatinX and gaming and the community portrayed, and I wanted to be a part of it. I want to surround myself with it. And so, I started to, talk to the founders about potential opportunities of me being a community manager, or social media manager. And they gave me the opportunity to be part of their staff, and they made me or gave me the opportunity to be their community social media manager. It's been about a year-ish in February 2022. It feels like a long time, the pandemic, of course. It's been a challenging moments here and there, but it's been a blessing. And they might be tired. The founders might be tired of me saying this all the time, but I really appreciate them from the bottom of my heart for giving me this opportunity, because a lot of doors have been opening because of them, and that's something that I wholeheartedly and truly appreciate.
Right on, right on. Well, you said founders, and now I know, Juan, you are one of the co-founders of LatinX in gaming. How did you meet up with the other co-founders and start it? What was the motivation or inspiration behind LatinX in gaming?
So shout out to Christina Maya for this, because she put together a panel for GDC and was just like, I'm looking for some developers, Latino developers, and we want to just have a talk, and here's what I'm thinking, here's a bullet point, and just send out like a template presentation, and was like, all right, let's have a talk. So we created this roundtable about just, hey, maybe things that we should talk about for a GDC roundtable. And that roundtable was such an amazing moment of discovery, because it was the first time that I think there had ever been like an actual dedicated space for, ourselves to drive the conversation, instead of being talked at. And so there was this, literal, roundtable full of people passing around the microphone and speaking, their truths, and, talking about things from, what it means to be inclusive when we aren't tied into our culture, how do we define it? Is it through language, countries, percentage of countries? There's so many ways that we self-restrict ourselves, and we say, that I don't feel Latino enough, And so we wanted to combat that, right? We wanted to say, no, like we all are feeling that together, and it doesn't make me any less, And I grew up in a 50-50 split house where it was like half Ecuadorian, half El Salvadorian. And when they played each other in soccer, like I hated watching the game, But it's just, part of our journey, right? And every single perspective is valid. And I think that's kind of what we felt in that room, was like, I see you and I got you, right? Like let's stay in contact. Let's do this. And it was one of the most powerful moments, I think, in my career, or even just life, of just, being around people that are, going through the same things, and, may not look like me, but like are like me. And, after that, it was just like, we have to keep this going. And, I kept talking with Christina and Judy, and then we met Elaine and Joe, and we just kind of kept staying in touch and kept trying to do events and, spreading the gospel, adapting the message. For the first year, it was basically just spent saying this message of, hey, we're here, look at us, spotlight us, include us, and that's when we were like, we want all avenues of Latinx, right? Like we want, as well as the same avenues of gaming, right? We want students, indie devs, professional AAA. Didn't matter what role. We wanted to give you a platform to show the wealth of what our community is doing that may not necessarily have that spotlight. So we just stayed organized and kept doing things. And, now we're an award-winning nonprofit,
That's
where
awesome.
like we just keep trying to listen to what the community is saying and do something about it.
That's really cool. And I think you kept stressing community. And I think that's very important, because for myself, I understand more Spanish than I speak. So I always felt kind of on the outside of that community. So to hear you speak about the inclusion of, no matter where you're at in your, I guess, Latino awareness or journey, that we want to include you. So that feels very welcoming to me. So I do appreciate that, just from my own personal perspective. And how do you go about from the organizational standpoint as a community? I know Joseph, you mentioned the Discord server, of really working to build up and give that community a platform. Is there something, do you guys have events every year? Is there something you guys do beyond the Discord server for the community?
Yeah, so we do have opportunities on a yearly basis to bring to provide a platform for people that are trying to get into the industry to get a job in the industry, whether it's game development, marketing, artists, anything like that. We have this. We held a job fair last year,
Nice.
and it was pretty successful. A lot of people that are trying to get a job in the industry, to get into the industry, it showed up, and we had a lot of recruiters from a lot of studios, AAA, indie studios, and it was a great experience. I was also a part of it as a person who was trying to get into the industry myself. I learned a lot of networking involved, and I loved it myself. Yeah.
Very cool. How has Juan, the response been from the industry, I guess, producers in response to your LatinX and gaming? Have they been welcoming? Have they been coming alongside you guys on this? Has there been a lot of pushback?
It's been a real supportive journey so far. Cool. I think one of the things that I am really proud of is that this has been really grassroots. And so as people find out about us, it's usually people that want to join the community and then bring their best selves and say, hey, how can we help? Right? Like I'm tied into this ERG at, my home office, or I have this other network, and it's how can we make those connections to then increase activations or fundings or sponsorships. And it's been really great watching the organization grow organically from not having enough people and having no funds to try to figure out how we're going to put on a 3-day event at PAC South to now having people, wanting to volunteer and being like, how can I help you guys out next year? And I think that's the really beautiful thing of what this org is, because we turn that right around into efforts that can help the community, through our scholarships, grants, connections, getting people hired, giving people a platform. One of our other events is Unidos, which is during Hispanic Heritage Month, where we just do like a Twitch takeover on the front page, and we, put out really great content. And we also stay in touch, through various channels on our Discord and conversations, right? Like, big shout out to JMags for, being the community manager that's always there thinking about new bots to put in or channels to keep people connected and talking. Because one of the things that we've noticed is that we're very spread out. We're all over the world. We have different motivations, different places and courses in life. But having a place that feels like you can always come home to, I think that's, what we're trying to build, and the culture that we're, reinforcing and creating.
That's really cool. I mean, personally, I just discovered Discord, I think the other day. I've heard of it, but I never really explored it until I saw your guys' server, and I joined that just to kind of explore what it is. And it is really a cool way to unify people in a common goal and a common place. And I think that's where kind of like the gaming industry in my eyes is heading. We see all the different, not to quote Facebook, but metaverses, like Fortnite with all of its bringing in all the different types of creators into one's place, even like MineQuest, or I haven't played that one. But where do you guys think the future of gaming is heading, and especially in how can we as Latinos make inroads to that? For either one of you, where do you think the future of gaming is going? Is it more AR? Is it more VR? Is it more just a community-based game?
I would say, based upon, the way that I've seen games trending, we're definitely heading into a place where we are connected. So I envision some type of social multiplayer aspect of it. And, and as we talk about inclusivity, I think it goes in parallel, actually not in parallel, it needs to crossroads with accessibility. And so being able to make sure that, we're all playing connected, throughout the world, so that we can offer different perspectives and just learn from each other. Play is how we learn, right? And we think about like playing music. That's also how, we jam and riff off of each other. So I think that's the direction where I think technology is going to take us, whether it's like in the Among Us or the Fortnite or the multiverse or, VR Rock Band, whatever it is. But I think what we bring, right, is our essence of, community values, the vibrancy in our culture, the beauty and the diversity of our culture, so that, we can bring that sazon to anywhere that is like coming in, right, in a way that only we can use our authentic voices to make that happen. So whether it's, creative directing, doing audio, making the animations to get the dances right, like, I think that's what, we're trying to do, is make sure that we have that coverage and people say, hey, the future is happening and you can be a part of it if that's what you want. And we're trying to facilitate that launch pad so that, we do have that future forward representation and it's not an afterthought.
Yeah, very true. So Joseph, what do you think is, if you had an idea for a game that represented like the Latino community, where do you think, or what would you want to either A, develop, or B, play?
You know what? I am a big history buff. I would certainly love to play a game, even in a VR perspective, showing history from any country or any part of the Latino America. I for certain am very much a fan of the Mexica culture, Olmec, that type of history. I still have a lot to learn about my Mexican culture and background, but every time I learn about the pyramids and the kings and queens and royalty that was involved long time ago, it amazes me to this very day, and that's something that I want to continue to learn. I definitely would like to dive deep into that game itself. Yeah, that's something that I would truly would like to play.
That would be really cool. I mean, I can envision like a VR Uncharted type game where you're like exploring the pyramids and down in Mexico City or whatnot near there. That would be really fun. I mean, I was on Twitter. I like to interact with different Latino creators, and one of them being Jorge Gutierrez, who created the Maya and the Three. And we were just chatting about how it would be great to have like some sort of fighting platform, like a Street Fighter platform, but with the Maya and the Three characters. So that's something that I thought would be really fun. And that's what I would like to see and I would like to play, just, to bring in that community of the Latino community and also the history of it, like you said, and in a game. Now, now Latinx and gaming is not just video games, it's all gaming, correct? So it's very inclusive. So gaming, like maybe tabletop games or card games, has there been any sort of development in that side of it for you guys?
Absolutely. We have like a really great member of our community. Shout out to D'Angelo Murillo, who runs a bunch of D&D campaigns and has done them live streamed on, on our screens, has done, live events, has done fundraisers for other, with his D&D skills. And I think
cool.
He's even kickstarting his own. So, go support him and check him out. And we also have like games internally as well. So yeah, we're open to D&D, tabletop, all aspects of gamings.
D&D. I didn't even think about that when I thought about gaming. Yeah, that is a huge sect. I mean, I used to play that way back in the day, and that was so much fun, especially when you have a good dungeon master who can tell the story. And if you think about how much history and rich depth of history from the Latino perspective, that's a whole treasure trove of information to use for a campaign. Yeah, that's very true. Well, if people decide that they want to support you guys, where would they head to? How could they find out more about the organization, and how can they support you guys?
There's several ways to join the community. For one thing, we have a Discord. We can be followed on Twitter, on social media at LatinX and Gaming. There are a couple of ways that they can, assist us and donate us and help us out in many other ways. Juan, do you have that information by any chance? Or
you can go on our website at gaming.com, or sorry, latinxandgaming.com. Yeah. And we have some, donate buttons on there. Spread the word, join the community, elevate other, voices amongst yourself, right? Like allyship is an, ongoing, work, but, through networking, I think we can all make a difference together. Right. I would, just, reach out if you want to have questions, if you want to work together, if you want to, talk more about what we do, or if you want to help somebody out, like point them in our direction. Like, the light's always on, and, have like really great, community, thanks to volunteers, and, staff.
Very cool. Yeah, I will be sure to spread the word of your guys' organization far and wide. Before I let you guys go, though, I do have to ask, we'll start with you, Joseph. What is your favorite all-time video game, and what is the game you're currently playing? And then to you, Juan, afterwards.
There are a lot of favorite games that I have, to be completely honest, and it's really hard to choose, but I think the video game series that I've have followed pretty religiously in the video game sense has been Assassin's Creed.
Oh, nice.
It's such an amazing game, and to be quite honest, Assassin's Creed kind of taught me some history that I did not know from different eras and countries and whatnot. My favorite, by the way, is Assassin's Creed 3, and a lot of people might give me some flack for some odd reason because of the bugs or this and that. But to me, it's representation. The main character, Connor Retorno, he was of native background, of course, and I never thought of seeing somebody, that shares that native aspect in a video game itself, or not. Also, I have never really thought about people from my background working in games besides just playing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyways, that's my favorite games, Assassin's Creed 3. What I'm actually playing right now, however, is Cyberpunk 2077, and it's not as buggy anymore. I can tell you that much. It's an amazing game. It's very rich in the story itself. I highly recommend. I don't want to give any tidbits that might ruin somebody's game a day or game experience, but I definitely recommend it.
Right on. Yeah, I've stayed away from it just because what you said about the bugs, but I think if you say it's better now, I will trust you on that. Maybe I'll look into it now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought I was on mute. They actually uploaded a huge patch that fixed a lot of stuff. So audio, visual, everything's pretty good as of right now. Mm-hmm.
Right on. That's cool. And how about you, Juan? What's your favorite all-time game and your favorite current game?
My favorite all-time game is Fallout 3.
Nice.
I'm from DC, and so there's this really like hometown nostalgic aspect of like going through a bombed out version of, you know, my city, and, you know, even going through like, you know, downtown Tacoma, you know, which is where I'm from, and you know, getting off of the Tacoma Metro, where, you know, I used to catch the subway to go to work in high school. You know,
That's
like,
awesome.
you know, it's a really, you know, nostalgic thing for me. So like that place, like it has a really special place in my heart. And I'm currently playing Knights of the Old Republic on my Switch. So like it's an old OG. I never got a chance to really play it, but I heard the port's really good, and I've been playing it. And the cool thing about it is that since it's portable, you can just like put it on sleep and just like walk away and then come back, which is great for an RPG.
Yeah,
you know, I think.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, remember how like back in the day you had to like auto save games, and then they would like track like how long you've been playing.
Yeah.
So this is still keeping track of every time since I've had it on pause. So like I made my character. I was like, oh, the first scene, I'm gonna, you know, pause it here and I'll come back and play it later. And I already had like 240 hours without even leaving the tutorial. So that was like my first save, was like 240 hours in. And I was just like, oh man, like,
ooh, can't pay attention to that anymore.
That's going to throw off my Switch numbers.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I mean, my favorite game I would say would be Skyrim. I've played that for hours and hours and hours.
Who hasn't?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Who hasn't? You're right.
Like
you're right.
So
you're
good.
right.
It's so good. Yeah.
I mean,
great favorite game.
I wish I really would have had it on a PC so I could use more of the mods and see what the community has developed for that game. I know PlayStation has some, but they don't port over as well. So, but yeah, that's probably what I've been doing. And now I just talk to other people, which I'm happy to, and I don't get to play as much, which is sad. But I jump into baseball game every now and then. That's probably my go-to when I'm bored. Just throw in the MLB and play some baseball.
So what's your team?
Padres. I'm from San Diego, so.
Oh, right.
Yeah, have to support the hometown.
Yeah.
So, well,
that's great, man.
Very, very cool, you guys. I do appreciate your time today to come and talk to us and really highlight Latinos in gaming. And I think it's a demographic that has yet to reach its peak, and I'm excited to see where it's going, because I think there's so much more to be had and to be seen within the community. So I appreciate your time. I thank you guys for coming on. Any parting words you guys wanted to give a shout out to or anything like that?
I just want to give thanks to you for having us on board and finding us, and, you know, welcome to the community.
Yes, thank you. I enjoy that. Appreciate that very much. So until next time, you guys, I will thank you again. And this has been PopCultX.